Welcome to No Longer Conformed. I am Erik Garthe, and we are in class with Ruth. Lessons on lasting relationships. In this session, we'll be looking at Ruth chapter 2, verses 1 to 23. Be what you desire in others. Every person has both strengths and weaknesses. We bring that whole package into any relationship. It's usually referred to as baggage, and that's usually the point of conflict. Another reality of relationships is that, with some exception, people tend to attract those of similar moral character. With that thought in mind, let's consider three characteristics of Ruth that were also true of Boaz. First, Ruth was considerate of others. It's interesting that Ruth asked Naomi for permission to find them food. She didn't have to ask, but she did. Ruth demonstrated an exceptional respect for Naomi. Look at verses 1 and 2 of chapter 2. There was a relative of Naomi's husband, a man of great wealth, of the family of Elimelech. His name was Boaz. So Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, "Please let me go to the field and glean heads of grain after him in whose sight I may find favor." And she said to her, "Go, my daughter." Ruth's relationship with Naomi became widely known in the community, including with Boaz. Let's listen here as we begin in verse 3. Then she left and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech. Now, behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you." And they answered him, "The Lord bless you." Then Boaz said to his servant who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" So the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered and said, "It is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab." And she said, "Please let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves." So she came and has continued from morning until now, though she rested a little in the house. Then Boaz said to Ruth, "You will listen, my daughter, will you not? Do not go to glean in another field, nor go from here, but stay close to by my young women. Let your eyes be on the field which they reap, and go after them. Have I not commanded the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink from what the young men have drawn." So she fell on her face, bowed down to the ground, and said to him, "Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?" And Boaz answered and said to her, "It has been fully reported to me all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and your mother and the land of your birth, and have come to a people whom you did not know before. The Lord repay your work, and a full reward be given you by the Lord, God of Israel, under whose wings you have come for refuge." And then she said, "Let me find favor in your sight, my Lord, for you have comforted me and have spoken kindly to your maidservant, though I am not like one of your maidservants." The way she treated others revealed much about her character. She was courteous and very considerate. Second, Ruth demonstrated a goodness. In this chapter, we can see at least 5 marks of goodness. First, She was industrious. Verse 2, please let me go to the field and glean. Second, she had a strong work ethic. Verse 7, she came and has continued from morning until now. She was humble. Verse 10, she fell on her face, bowed down to the ground. Fourth, she showed gratitude. Verse 13, you have comforted me and have spoken kindly. Fifth, she was compassionate. Verse 14, she ate and was satisfied and kept some back. Verses 17 and 18 tell that she brought much of her labor's produce to Naomi. So she gleaned in the field until evening and beat out what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. Then she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned, so she brought out and gave to her what she had kept back after she had been satisfied. As we saw in our message, in our last session, all of these characteristics were true of Boaz as well. And then third, Ruth expressed devotion to God. What we have seen so far in this look at Ruth is the devotion she had to the Lord and its impact on every area of her life. And the God that Ruth had recently trusted placed a man of similar faith in her path. There was another Ruth, a woman named Ruth Bell, who wrote a poem, a prayer, that God would give her a godly husband. Listen to this prayer of Ruth Bell. Dear God, I pray all unafraid, as girls are wont to be. I do not want a handsome man, but make him Lord like thee. I do not need one big and strong, nor yet so very tall, nor need he be some genius or wealthy, Lord, at all. But let his head be high, dear God, and let his eye be clear. His shoulders straight, whate'er his fate, whate'er his earthly sphere. And let his face have character, a ruggedness of soul. And let his whole life show, dear God, a singleness of goal. And when he comes, as he will come, with quiet eyes aglow, I'll know, dear Lord, that he's the man I prayed for long ago. And God gave her Billy Graham. There's a word that summarizes Boaz's treatment of Ruth: respect. How did he show it? How did Ruth show it? How should we? First, by noticing strengths. Verse 10, so she fell on her face, bowed down to the ground, and said to him, why have I found favor in your eyes that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner? Look at the word foreigner. Ruth was self-conscious of her status as a Moabite, but Boaz didn't care. Second, by complimenting character, verses 11 and 12. And Boaz answered and said to her, it has been fully reported to me all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and your mother and the land of your birth, and have come to a people whom you did not know before. The Lord repay your work, and a full reward be given you by the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings you have come for refuge. She was poor and he was rich, but Boaz saw past her condition. He saw her character, that there was more about Ruth than the clothes she wore. And then third, by appreciating what people do. Verse 13, then she said, let me find favor in your sight, my Lord, for you have comforted me
and have spoken kindly to your maidservant, though I am not like one of your maidservants. Gratitude is a noticeable mark of character. Our culture lets people think that they are owed something. Fourth, by showing courtesy to other people. Verse 14. Now Boaz said to her at mealtime, come here and eat of the bread, and dip your piece of bread in the vinegar. So she sat beside the reapers, and he passed parched grain to her, and she ate and was satisfied and kept some back. Boaz didn't have to treat her so nice. He did it out of respect for Ruth's kindness and as courtesy to Naomi. And then fifth, by doing kind things. Verse 15 and 16. And when she rose up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not reproach her. Also, let grain from the bundles fall purposely for her. Leave it, that she may glean, and do not rebuke her. Often, it's the little things we do that are the big things. And respect is the seedbed from which produces relationships. James Michener wrote, I was born to a woman I never knew, and raised by another who took in orphans. I did not know my background, my lineage, my biological or cultural heritage. But when I meet someone new, I treat them with respect. After all, they could be my people. There are some characteristics of relationships that last. Look at verses 19 to 23. And her mother-in-law said to her, where have you gleaned today? And where did you work? Blessed be the one who took notice of you. So she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked, and said, the man's name with whom I work today is Boaz. And then Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, blessed be he of the Lord, who has not forsaken his kindness to the living and the dead. And Naomi said to her, this man is a relation of ours, one of our close relatives. Ruth the Moabitess said, he also said to me, you shall stay close by my men until they have finished all my harvest. And Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, it is good, my daughter, that you go out with his young women, and that the people do not meet you in any other field. So she stayed close by the young women of Boaz to glean until the end of barley harvest and wheat harvest, and she dwelt with her mother-in-law. Remember the bitterness of Naomi back in the first chapter? The godly life of Ruth began a transformation of her mother-in-law's pain. It didn't happen all at once, but Ruth's patient actions were beginning to pay off. Be what you desire, and you will tend to attract what you desire. Live for Jesus. You have a great day.